Hare Krishna. We are beginning Srimad Bhagavatam class, Canto 2, Chapter 9, answers citing the Lord's version, and we are on text number 3. Really beautiful verse. Many beautiful verses in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and this is certainly a captivating verse. And but before we start, I want to offer my obeisances unto Lord Sri Krishna, the Son of Vasudeva, who is the Supreme All-Pervading Personality of Godhead. I meditate upon that transcendent reality who is the primeval cause of all causes, from whom all manifested universes arise, in whom they dwell, and by whom they are destroyed. I meditate upon that eternally effulgent Lord who is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations and is yet beyond them. It is He only who first imparted Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahma, the first created being, and through him this world, like a mirage, appears real, even to great sages and demigods. And because of him, the material universes created by the three modes of nature appear factual, although they are unreal. I meditate therefore upon him, the absolute truth, who is eternally existent in his transcendental abode, and who is forever free of illusion, Lord Sri Krishna, and completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated. This Bhagavad Purana propounds the highest truth, which is understandable by those devotees who are pure at heart. Highest truth, which is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. Such truth uproots the threefold miseries. This beautiful Bhagavatam, compiled by the great sage Sri Vyasadeva, is sufficient in itself for God realization as soon as one attentively and submissively hears this message of Srimad Bhagavatam. He becomes attached to the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna. Hare Krishna. Text number 3, but we'll read the first 1 and 2. This is chapter 9, answers citing the Lord's version, Canto 2. Text number 1. Shri Sukha Bhavacha, Atma Mayama Rate Rajan. Shri Sukadeva Goswami said, O king, unless one is influenced by the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no meaning to the relationship of the pure soul in pure consciousness with the material body. It is just like the dreamer seeing his own body working. Bahu Rupa Ivavati Mayaya Bahu Rupaya. The illusioned living entity appears in so many forms, which are offered by the external energy of the Lord, and the encaged living entity, while enjoying in the modes of material nature, misconceives, thinking in terms of I and mine. And today's verse, text number 3. Yami tava mahimani shve paramin kala mayayo. Rameta gata sam mohas chaktradashte tatobayam. Tatobayam, in fullness, both. Translation by Srila Prabhupad and purport. As soon as the living entity becomes situated in his constitutional glory and begins to enjoy the transcendence beyond time and material energy, he at once gives up the two misconceptions of life, I and mine, and thus becomes fully manifested as the pure self. Powerful verse. As soon as the living entity becomes situated in his constitutional glory and begins to enjoy the transcendence beyond time and material energy, he at once gives up the two misconceptions of life, I and mine, and thus becomes fully manifested as the pure self. Hare Krishna. Purport, Srila Prabhupada. The two misconceptions of life, namely I and mine, are verily manifested in two classes of men. In the lower state of conception of mine is very prominent. In the higher state of misconception, I is prominent. In the animal state of life, the misconception of mine is perceivable even in the category of cats and dogs, and they fight with one another with the same misconception of mine. You see that also with the cows. Aravinda said, no, this is all mine. So everything's is all mine. I'm bigger than you, and I'm going to knock you out of the way and take it all. Yeah? In the lower stage of human life, the same misconception is also prominent in the shape of it is my body, this is my house, it is my family, it is my caste, it is my nation, it is my country, and so on. And in the higher stage of speculative knowledge, the same misconception of mind is transformed into I am, or it is all I am, or I, etc. What was that philosopher who said? I think, therefore I am. Right? Is that Nietzsche? There are many classes of men comprehending the same misconception of I and mine in different color, but the real significance of such I can only be realized when one is situated in the consciousness that, quote, I am the eternal servitor of the Lord, unquote. This pure consciousness and the whole Vedic literatures teach us this conception of life. Everything else is basically a lower state of illusion. It's very easy for the conditioned soul to grab a hold of. You see children, as soon as they get old enough to understand that they want something, if you have a group of children, sometimes you'll see one say, they'll take away something from the other children. I want, this is mine, it's mine. And this is, but this is the same thing that the animals do. It's really no different. You want to come to the state where you say to everyone, whatever you want, whatever I have is yours. You want the shirt off my back, it's fine, I don't care. Nothing is mine anyway. Nothing belongs to me. Take my chara. Right? Just leave me with some kalpins, that's all. That's him. So in this way, the realized soul says, no, nothing is mine, therefore whatever I appear to have, you can have because it's not mine anyway. And therefore, he's free. He's free from misconception that anything is mine. Not even this body is mine. I realize this body is not mine. I didn't create it. Who created this body? I didn't create it. I have no idea how it's operating. I mean, we can make some studies, biological studies of cells and how they divide and all these different things, but I'm not causing those things to happen. Therefore, I can't be really considered the owner of this phenomena called my body, because I don't really know how it's working. I can't stop it. Okay, if I was in control, I could say, okay, I want all the cells to stop dividing. No more dividing. No, I can't do that. I want my hair to all stop growing. My hair, that won't happen. It continues because this is not us and it doesn't belong to us. So nothing is mine. This body is not mine. It belongs to Krishna. It's very simple. So when the right formula is put into place, that everything belongs to Krishna, even this body, even my very self, the very source, my very consciousness actually belongs to him for the purpose of his pleasure. Let me try to utilize that equation try to, instead of everything is mine, and everything is now for Krishna. Therefore, then there's a complete freedom of the soul, becomes liberated from all these misconceptions, just by understanding that Krishna is the recipient of all energies. He's the source of all energies and the recipient of all energies coming back to him through the medium of love and devotion. Hare Krishna. The misconception of I am the Lord or I am the Supreme is more dangerous than the misconception of mine. Although there are sometimes directions in the Vedic literatures to think oneself one with the Lord, that does not mean that one becomes identified in every respect with the Lord. Undoubtedly, there is oneness of the living entity with the Lord in many respects, but ultimately the living entity is subordinate to the Lord and is constitutionally meant for satisfying the senses of Krishna. The Lord therefore asks the conditioned souls to surrender unto him. That is for your benefit. I'm not trying to, I can make you. Krishna has the power to make us do anything. I can make you surrender, but that wouldn't be very much satisfying to me, because I have given you independence. Therefore, you always have that free choice whether to render service to me or not render service to me. But I'm giving you the instructions and the idea that by putting yourself in the position of my servitor, you will become happy and will have a beautiful relationship based on voluntary love, not forced. Nothing is forced. The Lord therefore asks the conditioned souls to surrender unto him. He asks them. Just like that we read in the Bhagavad Gita this morning. Arjuna says, Krishna says, now I have described to you the most comfort, because you're my friend, I have described to you all the most confidential knowledge. Now you deliberate on it and do whatever you want to do. That's the Bhagavad Gita. You deliberate on it, Arjuna, and now you do whatever you want to do. That little independence, you have a choice here. The Lord therefore asked the conditioned souls to surrender unto him. Had the living entities not been subordinate to the Supreme Will, why would the living entity be asked to surrender? Had the living being been equal in all respects, then we'd also be Krishna. Then why would he be put under the influence of Maya or illusion? We have already discussed many times that the material energy is controlled by the Lord. The Bhagavad Gita confirms this controlling power of the Lord over material nature, and Bhagavad Gita 9:10. Can a living entity who claims to be as good as the Supreme Being control the material nature? Don't think so. The foolish I would reply that he would do so in the future. I'll become more godlike and more powerful in the future. Right now, I realize I'm not fully godlike. I'm not fully God. So I have to wait for a while, and then the rest of the powers catch up to me. I'll be able to be more godlike. Even accepting that in the future one would become as good as a controller of material nature as the Supreme Being, then why is he now under the influence of material nature? Anyway, this is a lot of beautiful, big purport, very long purport. So we'll stop here. I'll read that last sentence again. Even accepting that in the future one would become as good as a controller of material nature as the Supreme Being, then why is he now under the control of material nature? Well, a lot of logic and reason takes place in the inquisitive soul who has a fragment of intelligence to be able to understand his position. He is not supreme because we're being controlled at every minute, and I have no ability to release myself from these controls. Therefore, I can't be God. If I was God, first of all, I wouldn't even be under these controls. I'd be in control of the controls. So there's a little bit of logic and reasons one can understand that one could understand that we are not the supreme, that we are in a tough spot in the material world. Hare Krishna. Being controlled by the material energy, the modes of material nature, so you better chant Hare Krishna to get out. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.